I just finished watching the Fyre Festival documentary, The Greatest Party That Never Happened. We're gonna talk about the Netflix one. Now, I've seen both of them, and while I do enjoy the Hulu one, I do think that there's just something about the Netflix one that is just a lot more revealing and heartbreaking and just more informative. I think that it is cool that you kind of get a perspective from Billy in the Hulu one, but I feel like he is not really one that really deserves to have a perspective when it comes to telling the story. So I really appreciate the Hulu one for that, but I do think that there's just certain aspects of the Netflix one that I really would love to get into. Now, I've watched this documentary a lot of times. I can't really say how many times I've watched it. I know it's been well over 5 times. That's kind of the thing when I like something. You could ask my family members. I would watch it over and over and over and over. And that qualm about me has not changed one bit. The one thing that I really do enjoy about this documentary, it's not my favorite documentary. I'm going to save that for a future video. I would say this is one of my favorites. I don't know where I was during the entire Fyre Festival situation. I might have seen memes 8 years ago. I was in high school. It was probably my junior year of high school when all of that was going on. So I can't remember reading up about it or knowing a lot about it. So I felt like the documentary was super informative in that regard because it just delivered a story of probably one of the most audacious, egotistical, malevolent figures I've ever seen portrayed in a documentary, in a story. What I do appreciate about this Netflix documentary is how they told it from the perspective of the people that were surrounding him, and not really those that were working with him, kind of those that were on board with him, but rather the people that were working under him or for him. There's definitely tiers to how he played out his strategy and his team and whatnot, and I definitely appreciate the perspective of, and I don't want to call them employees, but that's what they were, even though that their work was really pivotal to the success, or I can't even say the success, but the promotion of the company. And I really just love learning new things, and this is a story that always just blows my mind, is just to see the amount of things that certain people could get away with. And I don't know, there's just something about just rewatching this story and listening to everything that happened and just seeing that this actually happened. From the ideation of the Fyre Festival to hiring the media team to shoot the promo video, getting the influencers to post about it, and, just seeing how it just snowballed into chaos, really. It's like, what are you trying to prove? Who are you trying to prove your worth to? What are you trying to boast this illegitimate lifestyle that isn't true, and you're kind of delaying the inevitable by pretending that it is. I would never partake in a festival like that. And I'm not gonna say it was funny to see people go through that, because I know if I was in that situation, which once again I know I would not be, but if I was, I would want the empathy of others, sympathy, understanding from others, because you kind of have to be on P's and Q's when it comes to money. But certain things sound too good to be true, then it most likely is. And this was something that just seemed way too good to be true. It's a really good character dive into Billy and just the type of person he is and the type of people that are out there that are willing to put everybody else's lives in jeopardy for the sake of their own benefit. It's really crazy to see, and that's why I said I appreciate how they told the story from the perspective of others rather than from him, or even getting any words from him, because you have people explaining that they lost money, that they got, they're getting sued by credit card companies, they're in debt for funding the festival, especially the perspective of the locals in the Bahamas. it truly breaks my heart, honestly, to hear the first time I heard it and then to re-listen to those stories, and even the lady that was the feeding the the laborers out there, really and truly something that she said in the documentary that was really, really poignant was like, she was the main reason that there could even be any work or any type of event going on, even if it was a clusterfuck. She had to feed the workers that were building the event. And so hearing her story over and over again, it's like, I would hope that somebody by now has got in touch with her and helped her out, but her story is heartbreaking. And the fact that she had to go through her savings and nobody reached back out to her, and all of those people, those 200 people that were out there, didn't get paid for what they did. There's people that paid for all types of amenities and living arrangements and tickets, and somebody mentioned $800,000 on wristbands. And it's just like, wow, like there's times where I think like, all right, if I take this little nickel out of the tip jar, are they gonna call the cops on me? Like, not literally, but it's like, if I do this one thing, would they get me? And then I think about stuff like this, and it's like, what I do isn't even a blemish compared to the amount of fraud that people commit nowadays, or these type of people commit. It's just really insane. The delusion, what he put his employees through, what he put his co-workers through. It's very eye-opening as to the type of person he is. And I'm glad that this story was able to get told in the amount of detail that it did. I really do think that this could be not just a movie, but this could really be a limited series, honestly. The amount of storylines and situations that they presented in this, I think that you could really do a very, very in-depth and intense, and even in some parts scary retelling of this story if you really wanted to, going from the start to have the Fyre Festival, and then planning it, and then having the actual festival, and then the day of the festival, and then the aftermath of it. Like, this feels like it could be like an American crime story type of story, like the O.J. Simpson one or the Bill Clinton one. I feel like that would be really, 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 really cool, honestly. And it would just present more attention to this type of story, because you got to be aware of people like this. This is a really, really awesome documentary, I would say. Just from a filmmaking and storytelling perspective, I think this is a great watch. Is it better than the Hulu watch? I'll say it is. I haven't watched the Hulu one in a minute, but I do remember, it made me want to watch the Netflix one more. And while it did go in depth more about certain things, I do think that the way that they told this Netflix one was just better for me. But if you disagree with that, let me know in the comments. Drop a comment if you like the Netflix one or the Hulu one better. Yeah, I definitely do think that this is one that's worth watching. Crazy story. It's only an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 37, but it provides so much detail into just one of the craziest situations and stories that I think have ever been told and has ever happened. And the fact that this is like real life, like this isn't just something that came out of somebody's brain. Like, this type of thing actually happened, and there were real life repercussions for the situation. I think is absolutely fascinating. The fact that somebody could really go to those depths to create a situation like this. Pray that everybody that was involved in that situation has gotten their justice, whether it's financially or socially, or employees that got laid off, the workers that had to work, the influencers that had to travel there and go through Lord of the Flies for 2 nights. There's really so many different storylines. That's why I said this could really be a limited series. Hopefully, if anybody wants to work on that or is working on that, just let me get a little change for that. Let me get a little change for that idea if it wasn't thought of already, because I would love to experience that retelling of the story. Let me know what you think. Go check out this documentary. It's a great watch. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna talk about anything that I'm watching right now. So this is one of the more recent pieces of media that I've watched, and I'll probably watch it again at some point in the near future, because it really is just that interesting and that good to me. So like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.